just passed 300 subscribers on the channel, which is yeah, staggering. A lot of you guys must be really bored. Anyway, been working on the gib slide for the tool head. If you remember, showed in an earlier video, if I can find the bloody gib strip. I don't know whether you can see that kink in it. So tried making one out of mild steel, and every time I took a bit of skim off to get it down to thickness, it bent like a banana. So I've ended up on a piece of gauge plate, which is tool steel. So I've hand filed it to width and then put the chamfers on. As you've seen, it just fits in now. I've got a bit of tickling up to do on the bottom end to put that radius in, but what I wanted to do was get the pockets machined in for the grub screws, and then there's another one that goes in there, which I think is the locking screw. That big hole in the middle, although that might be that one. Don't know. I gibber on. Anyway, as is the case with all good refurbishments, I've managed to lose the bloody grub screws and locking nuts. They're knocking about somewhere, but given I think they were all slotted tops and pretty chewed up, I've just ordered a new set, and I've gone for a hex key drive on them. So while I'm waiting for them, I'm not going to bother setting up the pockets on those, because I want to do them with the fixings in place. Another thing you might recall, when I had the clapper box off, it was held on with a weird and wonderful fitting there, which I completely butchered and started a new one with. That. And when that tightens down, that thing, it should be tightening onto that shoulder, and it is, but it's evidently too bloody tight, because this has had a lot of knocking to shift it. So I'm going to refit it now, just check that nothing else has shifted, and then I'm going to scrape that flat and the mating surface. I've lapped off what I could feel were burrs, so now I just want to check if it's still too tight. If I take material off that face, need to watch what I'm looking at. If I take material off this face, it will reduce the clamping force on that. That should basically be just free enough to move, but not so much that you need to whack it with a bloody hammer, which is where it was at. But I think half of the problem was there was a bit of rust. So now it's all cleaned off. That's my plan for today, and then we'll do a bit of hand scraping. We're just setting up the small plate for printing the back of this, which you can't quite see in the picture. That is the smallest plate I've got. It's obviously way too big for what I'm doing, but it's fine for this. I use that stuff, and it's not the easiest of stuff to use, but once you get the hang of it, it's all right. The guys with a bigger plate and used to using the water based one, they'll do a wet patch and then transfer it over to another patch. I've never really got on very well doing that with this stuff, but the key thing is you put it on and spread it out, and this stuff's a pain in the arse to get it to spread evenly. Bearing in mind, you've got to make sure that plate's spotless before you start, otherwise all you're doing is coating all the crap and the dust particles, which makes it very hard to spot them. these bits seem to be dried or slightly thicker ink out the edge of the tube. You can barely feel them under my fingertip. So you've got to clean the plate down, then you've got to clean your roller down, then you've got to clean the plate again and then the roller again, then throw your rag away and start with another one. Now I'm not looking for high points per inch contact, but I do want something around 10 points of contact per square inch and about 50% of the area printed. Now bearing in mind it's a machined finish at the moment, looks like it's almost fly cut. I'm not expecting it to print very well, just a smear. I had already deburred it and I'd already cleaned it off. So I've lowered it down gently so it doesn't get hard on at one side, and then I'm just going to do a small shuffle. Now I can tell you now, there ain't much touching. Seems to rotate around there, which is not a bad thing. But up here then. So you can see just on the transfer there. You see, can you see? He talks a load of crap. No, you can't see. Let me bring you down. Anyway, look at the underside of that. So we're touching on this corner, edge of that ding there, edge of the other dings. So there are a bit of work to do on that. I'll bring you down and show you the plate just so you've a better idea of what I'm waffling about. Yeah, you can see you got points of contact and it's just smeared the ink away. Right, I'll set you up in the other area and we'll do the first overall scrape. Right, so we're in the vise on the table. I'm not squeezing it too hard and I'm clamped across the width of that face rather than on the wings. That's my weapon of choice. It's a standard Sandvik with a radius, ground and all the rest of it. I've covered most of the grinding in the early videos. All I'm going to do first is just a rough scrape so that I can get a print. I'm not making this scrapes very deep because it's not a slide way. I'm not looking at oil retention. I just want a flat rotating face, and when it's not rotating it's clamped up. Now the only reason I'm changing direction, excuse me while I clear my left ear roll, so it's humming, it just helps me build up a pattern, and I can, if I work in the same direction, I tend to end up with ridges up and down over it. So by alternating I don't get those, I get points. There's probably a better way of doing it. What I'm aiming for on this first cycle is just to remove the original surface fairly evenly. Certainly to remove the high spots we saw on that initial show and tell print. Now, there is a recommended way for going around apertures, and in fairness I should be doing it, but as I said, I ain't looking at any kind of oil seal or sealed surface on this. I'm just going to get looking for a flat mating face. can't see any of the original blue. So we'll get my stone and give it a quick that's what I use for flattening off my honing stone. Just have to make sure I've got plenty of lubricant on it. And I'm flipping it over because I'm just dressing the edges as such. Yeah, I know, I've scratched the edges, but it's a first pass. Get my clean Harry rag out. I'm wiping off the white spirit. Need my dusty brush. So what you don't want is to drop any of those shavings onto your plate for your print, because A, it knackers up your print, and B, you got to start cleaning it all off. And I mean cleaning it all off, and then re-inking. And then you're back to square one, and you've still got to print it. Now we are going to be playing pick up soft jaws for the next 2 hours. I'm not going to take you over and show the print. I'll bring the piece back when I've printed it. So, what I can tell you is that's a hell of a lot better already. You just about see that. So we've got a bit of a contact area there, hard on this corner, raised spot here, raised spot there, and then next to sod all anywhere else. Basically anything sticking up or sitting on. I think I'm going to go around those edges. Dogs woke up. No idea what that's about. Probably another dog 4 mile away has just yawned or something. So that's now pivoting around about the middle point. So it's spinning around about here. So I'm not too fussed about this print here. If you notice there's no ink there either now. Looking at these smears, there could have been some shit on there. Yeah. Still got some crap in it. There. Clean the plate and start that one again. Probably a dog hair. We'll clean this off again and try and do a print without any shit getting on there. It's a bit more like it. So that's not bad even. I'm a bit light in this area. When it's pivoting around here and here. So we're going to take them down a touch and then just start give it a shorter strokes over. Might swap the blade round for a larger radius. I'll bring it back in a bit. Right, so I've swapped the end round on my scraper. For all intents and purposes, that's the original radius that's supplied by Sandvik on the tips, whatever the hell that is, 120mm or something, I don't know. Anyway, it's near as damn it flat, but if you put a straight edge on it, you can see that it is actually a radius. What that gives me is a wider scrape, a bit more effort required, and what I'm trying to do is basically get that sort of smooth distribution around. Now at the moment it's pivoting there and it's pivoting somewhere around here, so I'm just going to go over it again and drop the high spots down until this area starts to come in. But as it stands at the moment, it's not a million miles off. It's certainly better than it was, but I know that I've got to take some material out of this to enable it to pivot right when the bolt's in place. And by the look of the scrape, this tip edge wants honing, bit like a serrated edge, or a ploughed field, as somebody remarked on another thread on Practical Machinist. Now I could probably have just stuck this in a shaper and got a perfectly adequate finish on it. I wanted to scrape it. If you're watching this, Emma, and you're wondering why I haven't gone live stream, it's because my internet doesn't reach to my workshop, and we haven't got decent mobile coverage around here. I'm lucky if I can make a telephone call or send a text. Nice idea doing it though. Apart from there's always some jerk making jokes when you're trying to concentrate. I would say that's working out all right. It's a little bit light down this area. Not enough to worry about though. So I'll go round and basically bring it in. Right, we'll get a print, assess it and see where we're at. Pivot in here around the whole area, and then up here it's pivoting there. So we're doing a few more cycles and I'll bring you back. So that's, I've just, on the previous cycle, after I stopped the video, and I've only done the one cycle, I just went off and scraped off the blue spots. So that's where I'm at now, which for all intents and purposes isn't far from being done. Now Emma, you've got to use the right kind of template. I eat muesli, and this is a piece of muesli box. So what we're looking for is around about 10 separate points of contact and about half of it covered in blue ink. So there's less than half covered, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 there. So it wants a little bit more work yet. Drop it on a, let's pick a dense area, say there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's halfway there. I mean, if it was just a mating surface and not going to move, it was just being bolted up, I think that'd be fine. But I'm going to go over it now, drop the blue areas, just the blues, and take another print. So light roughing scrape just to get a print, and you can see it's hard on this edge, touching on that corner, and diddly squat elsewhere. So we do the same thing again. I'm probably just going to drop that corner, and then this should move across a bit. Yeah, so this is looking like where the main problem is. It's obviously got some kind of distortion on it, so I'll take it off there and drop this edge down and see if we can just start spreading it. I'm not going to video this section because it'd be quite lengthy, but at least we found out what's been going on. Hello YouTubers, it's me again. That's for Shaper Andy. So that's had 5 cycles of heavy scraping. I had a bit of a mishap and caught an edge, and you can pick them out here. 4 deep gouges, so I cursed a bit. Anyway, that's where we're at now. So what I'm going to do now is start dropping off the higher spots. Just take that surface down. It's not far off flat. There is an issue when you come to print a piece which is offset in terms of heavier at one side. So in theory this end is always going to print heavier because of this weight pushing it down and lifting that end. I know guys, when they're printing, they put a counterweight on the other end and all that, but yeah, can't be arsed. It's good enough for what I'm doing, and ultimately what I'll do is I'll print that piece to it. So I'm going to refine it a bit more and then start looking at that. That's had 2 further cycles. I've printed that this time by putting the plate over the top, so the plate's centered around it so it's not tipping. So you can see it's pretty even distribution. If I can find my stencil. Perhaps wants breaking up a bit. I've not heavily stoned it, this is straight off the scraper. Not looking bad anyway. So I've inked. I think you can see that it's got blue ink on it. I'm just going to sit that on and wiggle it about a bit. That's pretty good. Again, it's a bit light around the edges, but when the thing's tilted, one edge or t'other isn't on contact anyway. Certainly much better than it started. I mean, I could keep going, but I'm getting to a stage where I'm thinking it's fit for purpose for what it's doing. So I'm going to clean it off and then check how well it rotates with the bolting. Now, if you remember, I don't know whether I videoed it, I'll have to check the footage, but before, in order to get it to move at all, I could have it about finger tight there, and that's very fluid. So if I A-bomb it a bit, that's moving all right. Now there is a little bit, I know you can hear that rocking. There's obviously plate somewhere, which I suspect is the diameter of the shoulder bolt. Has got some play this position. Yeah, that's what it is. So I'm reasonably okay with that. I'm just going to try a smear of oil and see if it's now I've managed to get grit into the oil on my fingers. The objective of the exercise is to just have it so that I haven't got to put any mallet or anything to the sides, so I can move it by hand, which we're not a million miles off. And that's locked it up tight. So we still want a little bit off. It's certainly better than it was. But what I'm going to do is now just take it off the underside of the clapper box housing. So I'm just going to go over this area now, just to keep taking the high spots off and get it so it seats a bit better. It's not a million miles off, so yeah, time well spent. Right, so we've given that a final scrape over, as you saw in the last bit of the video. I've stoned it off, given it a light coat of oil. Done the same with that, just a final scrape, and I've given the counterbore area, I've just deburred it. I actually put some ink onto the inside shoulder of the shoulder bolt, which was pretty badly scored up. I've just gone over and deburred that, and then put the ink onto that face, put it in, spun it a bit, and then just took off the high spots, which were all burrs. Bit light blob of oil on that. So that's where we started off, and we could just move it. That's giving it plenty of grunt, and that's nice and free now. And more importantly, not only is it free, I know I've got good surface contact between the two, so the forces that are put through the cutting tool into the clapper box, into the tool slide and into the ram. Now I'm actually flexing that Allen key to lock that up. So I'm happy that that bit's done. I'll go and edit this video, get it up on tube. I'm waiting for this, for the grub screws and locking nuts, then I can final fit the gib strip, and then this is off to the paint department over there. Anyway, enough said. Thanks for watching, and yeah, thanks for all the subscribers, and hi to all the new ones. We're just over 300, I think 304 subscribers. Seem to have put on a lot over the last week. A lot meaning more than 4. Hope you find something of interest and something of use.